hold our rifles in missing hands. We stand tall on missing legs. We stride forward on the bones of our fallen. Then, and only then, are we alive. This pain is ours.
Exploring the intricacies of nearly 55 years of war, beginning with Cold War-era intrigue and espionage in the 1964 set Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, all the way through to the nefarious instability provoked by private militias in 2010's era Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, each entry in Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear series tends to focus on a singular overarching theme. Metal Gear Solid centers on genes and the genetic fate we're bound to at birth. Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty is an examination on memes, posing the question, is our identity truly our own? Metal Gear Solid 3 discusses the relevance of time and place, more specifically how a scene affects events and how they're perceived, ultimately landing on the conclusion that everything is transitory, changing with the times. Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriot's main theme is sense, as in someone's understanding of the world and whether this can be passed on. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker settles on the notion that world peace is extremely unlikely, despite being an ideal to persistently strive for.
Well, what'll it be? Will you take the job?
Snake, it's gotta be a trap.
So you still can't turn your back on your country?
The series' concluding chapter, 2015's Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, is stated to focus on the themes of race and revenge. Although as expanded on by Kojima himself, revenge in MGS5 isn't the typical vengeance between two people, but instead a never-ending series of killings between groups of people.
You too have known loss, and that loss torments you still.
Most interesting with MGS5 is that its overarching themes aren't as deeply explored as in prior entries. They're surface level by comparison. The Phantom Pain encapsulates thematic elements from every Metal Gear game thus far and lands on one conclusion. War is an endless cycle, and the effort to forge one's own path is futile. All we can really do is live. The boss says as much to the real big boss. One must die and one must live.
And one must live. No victory, no defeat. The survivor will carry on the fight. It is our destiny. The one who survives will inherit the title of boss.
Revenge in MGS5 is really a vehicle for a deeper lamentation on the theme of loss, how to deal with it and how the experience of loss affects you and others around you. Venom's opening foray in MGS5 is hyper-focused on taking revenge on the people who took things from him. Yet as the narrative continues, it's Venom who continues to lose. Killing his own men, losing Quiet, his losses even culminating in the revelation his identity has been erased. In the end, he's left with nothing to show for his efforts. He's a shell, a husk, a phantom pain. Revenge leaves a void that only can be filled with endless war and violence.
This pain is ours, and no one else's. The secret weapon we wield.
Of course, the revelation that the player has not been in command of Big Boss, but instead controlling a nameless, near-mute medic reshaped physically and reconfigured mentally to be the legendary soldier's doppelganger feeds into this notion, but extrapolates it onto the player too. Sure, some were disappointed in MGS5's absurd plot twists, but they're missing the point Kojima was trying to make. In taking on the role of Big Boss, we become the de facto Big Boss for all intents and purposes. It doesn't matter that we weren't his flesh and blood because we acted according to his belief set regardless. In that sense, MGS5 is revisiting prior themes of genetics and memes. In manipulating Venom Snake into believing he was Big Boss, we too were manipulated. His ideals were passed on to us. His legacy lives on through our actions. Venom Snake is an avatar for Big Boss's ideals, and thus we never question our contribution to bloodshed. Kojima wants us to understand we're just as capable for the endless cycle of violence occurring throughout the series as the on-screen characters inhabiting this universe.
And you are me. Carry that with you wherever you go. Thank you, my friend. From here on out, you're Big Boss.
In a final act of manipulation, Big Boss tells Venom Snake, "You're your own man. I'm Big Boss and you are too. No, he's the two of us, together, where we are today. We built it. This story, this legend, it's ours." As a result, Venom becomes the villain slain in the very first Metal Gear game released in 1987, completing the Ouroboros. Yes, the Metal Gear Solid saga can be summed up by the image of a snake eating its own tail, and thus there could be no definitive conclusion. Players felt this, hence widespread dissatisfaction with MGS5's ending. Accusations abound of it being a rushed job or that it's unfinished. In searching for a definitive ending, by campaigning for the reinstatement of deleted content in the hopes of a catch-all conclusion, players inadvertently tried to absolve their own phantom pain. Obsession is a thematic element explored greatly in Metal Gear Solid 5 2, for nearly every character is motivated by obsession to some degree. The obvious thematic parallel here is with Moby Dick, itself a study on man's desires to find meaning in a world laced in deception and fatal delusion. Ahab's maniacal obsession to slay the white whale which took his leg, to doggedly enact revenge no matter the cost to him and his men, is reflected mostly in Kaz. In short, Venom is not Ahab, Kaz is Ahab. He's a man driven deranged by his obsession with revenge more than any other character in the game. Moby Dick's imperturbable narrator Ishmael sees the world more stoically. The titular white whale, analogous to endless war as portrayed in Metal Gear Solid, isn't the embodiment of evil as perceived by Ahab, but an inevitability of reality. This perception is what Big Boss imposes on Venom Snake, that war will continue no matter what we do. Of course, Kaz is the biggest casualty to obsession, but numerous characters' lust for their own ideals eventually ends them. For example, Dr. Huey Emmerich goes down in history as a hypocrite, Miller ends up bitter too, Big Boss, and Venom dies at the hands of Big Boss's clone. Finding meaning in life is pointless. No matter how hard we try to attain it, we'll never truly acquire the object of our obsession. Again, as the boss states, one must die and one must live. No victory, no defeat. The only reprieve, perhaps, is the vague sense of closure offered by Paz, her self-amissable subplot in Metal Gear Solid 5. After conclusively dying in Ground Zeroes, her sacrifice triggering the sequence of events which led to the medic's remodeling, Paz miraculously re-emerges, albeit with severe amnesia. However, the Paz we see here doesn't exist. She is a mental manifestation on the theme of loss running through the game. Consequently, her monologue carries significant weight. She says, "Peace Day never came. Our wishes do not come true. We just cling on to our dreams, our phantoms." She then speaks of futility. You can kill Skullface, murder Huey, slaughter Zero, burn the whole world down, and it still won't bring me back. Me or any of the dead. And in a knowing wink to the audience, as if Kojima's words are dripping out of her mouth, "Live. I think it's my job to tell you that. That's why I exist." Yes, the Metal Gear Solid saga is over, no matter how incomplete it feels. The only way to end the cycle of war is to live our lives away from the screen, impossible as it seems. Pause is the game's only phantom limb that will be gone for good. So what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.